Scott, thanks for joining InvestorStream again. I'd like to begin, if I may, with an overarching look on the sector. In your view, how does hydrogen fit into the broader energy ecosystem that's emerging in Australia?
Thanks, Alex. Look, hydrogen's going to play an increasingly larger role over the next 10 years and going forward. Look, we see it as being very important. That's why we've very much gone down the path. We'll replace diesel in a lot of areas like trucking, also other areas like, trains, for example, a lot of diesel's used in that as well. We see hydrogen with the combination of hydrogen fuel cells, which is a more efficient energy mix, and that's going to give us a much better efficiency. And as a result, customers are going to save money. So it's going to be at a better price point, but also importantly, it's better for the environment. You've got emission savings, but it's also better for Australia that at the moment, most of the diesel is imported from overseas, and instead we're going to manufacture hydrogen in Australia and use it in Australia. So that's obviously a pretty good thing for our overall energy mix and energy security in the longer term as well. There's a lot of benefits, and having power generation, it can make renewables and wind and solar much more sustainable in terms of having additional backup power that could be used. And that's why we're very excited about the future here.
Thanks, Scott. Now, we all know about the recently acquired stake in H2X Global. From your perspective, it's proving to be quite an astute investment for the company, but can you just talk us through the rationale for the investment?
Yeah, so we have a unique business model where what we're looking to do is provide attractive, holistic solution to customers. And that way they can provide everything in one counterparty rather than looking at different counterparties. So, for example, we'd provide the hydrogen, we'd provide the delivery mechanism to get it to the customer, and then we'd provide the devices, in this case, trucks and buses and those sort of things. So we see it as very logical then to extend into providing these devices and taking ownership stakes in companies. So with H2X specifically, we saw a fantastic hydrogen fuel cell technology that was extremely attractive priced, especially when you compare it to all the valuations in the EV market that is now happening in the US, where some of the valuations are quite eye-watering. But we think hydrogen is really part of that EV market where hydrogen can be used in fuel cells to create the electricity to drive these vehicles, be it trucks, cars, buses, etc., or utes, which H2X is focusing on. We're in a really good space. The other thing we did, and we probably haven't got a lot of credit, it was a share swap. So we took out a existing shareholder, swapped it for shares in our company. So we've done it in a very smart way, I think, to get into the market and to give us maximum exposure. We've got a big option position there as well. I think we're very well placed.
Okay, so more specifically with respect to H2X's power units, what are the key technological attributes of these units that make them so unique and appealing to customers?
Look, I think very nice unit, the way they're set. There's 4 sizes here. Essentially, you can use hydrogen to power up various things, whether it's household or whether it's in an industrial or commercial setting or a farm, for example, and it could be very supplementary or a backup to things like renewables when they're not available. This can kick in. Other uses would be telecommunications, for example, again, backup to allow mobile phone towers to be turned on when other sources go down. The good thing about this is the heart of it is the fuel cells. And the fuel cells are exactly the same as the ones that go into the vehicle. So there's a lot of crossover in terms of the powertrains, the way they've developed. Then they're inserted into these devices that we can get a lot of synergy out of. And look, already we're getting quite a lot of interest, both in Australia and overseas. And we haven't even officially launched the product yet. So we see a lot of uses, and it's a demonstration again of how useful hydrogen can be. We can reshape the energy mix going forward. That's really what it's a demonstration of. You can use hydrogen, it can power up things, you get a good result as a consequence.
Now, Scott, a lot of your focus has been on the commercial and industrial sectors like waste management and construction, as reflected in your recent announcement with AKM Earth and the supply of 7 hydrogen fuel hook bin trucks, together with the supply of hydrogen fuel. I guess that shows that you're making progress locally. A couple of points here. Firstly, where do you see the international market opportunity, and do you see PureX as being a supplier of these hydrogen-powered commercial vehicles for domestic and international markets?
Yes, we see a lot of opportunities both domestically and internationally. Even H2X, they've got a range of discussions going on that I'm aware of, both in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, and of course in Australia. And just an example is what was announced a few weeks ago. H2X signed an agreement with the state of Sarawak in Malaysia. That's joint venture, but the idea would be they will supply most of the buses in that state. Initially, there's an order next year of 65 buses. That's significant. And then they're looking at follow-on orders that are quite significant and roll out. The numbers they're talking about are quite large. But in Australia as well, we've got very significant opportunities ahead of us in waste. So waste trucks, concrete agitators, and hook bins. But we could see that also applying to other countries. And part of the reason we did that joint venture with Batala is we see opportunities in places like Africa, where there are lots of opportunities there that we could potentially participate. So that's why we're quite excited about PureX and H2X, and we see it as a key part of our offering that we can offer potential customers.
And Scott, just finally while I've got you, obviously alongside PureX's progress, can you just take us through how PH2 is progressing with hydrogen fuel supply for the domestic market and export opportunities as well?
Yeah, so look, in the domestic market, in the short term, part of our strategy has been to partner with people and to leverage off their strengths as well as our own, and providing that holistic solution to potential customers. And we're very pleased that we announced that the partnership with CAC, H2, they're looking to build a very big plant which will sell into the Brisbane market, and will do the same in Sydney and Melbourne, and it'll provide a lot of potential resource for hydrogen. The key thing there is we're minimising our capex, but we'll be able to service a lot of potential customers in all those markets. On the export side, we're working quite well, looking at those bigger projects that will look to export into Asia. They're certainly coming along. We've done quite a lot of work in the background and advancing those opportunities. We see enormous opportunities on the markets, and no doubt other people, there'll be plenty of players, but from all the opportunities we're seeing, we'll get, I think, a reasonable share of the market. And with that, we should do very well.
Fantastic. Scott, really appreciate you joining me today. All the best for the tail end of 2021, and we look forward to catching up again in 2022.
Thanks, Alex.